What's up, guys, and welcome back to Sitting Courtside, episode 50.
We made it.
We're here, man. Of course, for this first 49 episodes, same as the first 49 episodes, it's your boy Jerry D.
And just like the first 49 episodes as well, my name is Dante.
Not a change in sight, but you know what? There has been some changes going on over the past week or so. We got some Olympic ball to talk about. I'm sure everybody knows what went down. We saw what Team USA did, but we'll get to that later. For today, though, before our main topics, we're talking teams here. I know last week we kind of dove into the Atlantic Division a little bit, talked about some things, but we're going to redo it a little bit for 10 teams and talk about what they should do to contend for the playoffs. So,
Hell yeah.
any objection to that? You cool with that? You all right with that?
No objection, Your Honor. I'm ready to proceed with the hearing right now.
Let's go ahead and swear this oath and talk about some off-season basketball and see what these guys need to do.
Let's do it, brother.
I'll kick us off here without any further ado. We're going to start it off with your Boston Celtics.
Mhm.
So, made a little list here for the three things I think they need to do. Number one, understand there's a target on their backs, and they shouldn't take teams for granted. So, every single year that I've done, I've obviously covered the Charlotte Hornets. I don't know if everybody already knows that by now. I hope so. If you watch the first 49 episodes, there's a lot of references. But every single coach that I've talked to that either won a championship in these last 5-6 years or that have been a very good team, I've always asked, like, how do you kind of manage expectation now? I remember when Sacramento came back to life out all of a sudden after 16, 17 years, right? And they kind of just blew up onto the scene, and out of nowhere, they're a 3 seed out west. Obviously, I know what happened to them, but now there's an expectation for them to be great. I asked him Mike Brown last year, like, how are we navigating through the season now? Because it's a different expectation. He told me, if I'm remembering this correctly, that it's weird being the hunted now. That teams actually stand up to kind of knock us back down a peg to make sure that, hey, you were bad all these years ago, all these years in a row. You're going to continue to be that. That's the type of mentality other teams came out to play with. And the Hornets beat them in Spectrum Center. So, and we played up to the competition.
Right.
So I've seen exactly what he meant. But that's number one.
Okay.
Number two, don't be afraid to change up on the role players. I think a good example is what we saw out of Golden State's run, where 2015, there was a Harrison Barnes there. They had a Leandro Barbosa. David Lee was there. Like, just a different group of guys. Compared to 2017 and 18, Sean Livingston came alive. There's a David West in place now.
Yep.
And there's just other bench pieces that kind of help spur the run. I know we talk about the stars all the time, and Steph, Dre, and KD, and Clay. And just like how we will Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday, KP, Derek, like we're going to talk about those guys, but don't be afraid to change up the Sam Hausers or the Peyton Pritchards if a deal comes on the table that makes sense. And lastly, before I get your reactions about this list, get an extra rotational big. I think we kind of saw what happened whenever Kristaps went out in round one of these playoffs, to where a lot of us, including myself, started to kind of question if Boston would be able to get there without Kristaps Porzingis. Now, Big Al held it down.
Yep.
And it also helps that you didn't have to play the Knicks and you didn't have to play Joel Embiid and the Sixers
Fair enough.
at any point in the playoffs. Two teams that are probably play a lot bigger than what the Celtics would have, and that would have hurt you a lot not having KP in a series like that. But playing against Indiana, they run small. Their 5-man is more of a stretch 5, right? He spends a lot of time on the perimeter, not like a Julius Randle or a Joel Embiid who start inside and then go out. So definitely getting another body down low to bang with some of those superstar bigs out east, I think is going to be huge for your guys to try to repeat or at least get back there in the first place.
Yeah, no, I think those are all great points. I think being the hunted and not the hunters is a great point. They're finally at the top of the mountain now. How do they respond? They're no longer the ones that are climbing the mountain trying to get to the win the championship. Now they are the champions and they have to fight off everyone coming after them. So I agree with that. The role players, I feel like that's something that is true. If there's something on the table, you can't, you don't want to shy away from it just because you have your rotation set and stuff. I do believe that they do have a well enough group of guys here that they can work still with what they have. But if there is an offer available on the table, I agree. You can't hide from it. And then Yeah, I mean KP, he's has his injury histories. Al Horford,
Getting up
he's
there in
old,
age.
so who knows how many years he has left in him. Luckily for the Celtics, we saw some of his best basketball in the postseason, which is kind of how we cater to him, have him rest up in the regular season, save him for the postseason when we need him. But yeah, we definitely do need some more depth. I don't think Luke Cornett is going to be getting the job done there. So, but yeah, all right. So you start with the Celtics. I'm going to jump into your Los Angeles Lakers. My 3 points here, starting with continue to check the market for star players. I know it's kind of one of those like you're on the side of should they go after a third star or should they continue to, build around LeBron and AD, bring in role players, keep what they have, whatever. I think that's kind of just based off of who's available and who's not. If there's a star player available that you feel like you can plug in next to Davis and LeBron, I think that's something that you should probably do, especially in LeBron's old age. As much as we love to point out how amazing he still plays, the end of the day, the reality is he's not going to be playing basketball forever. So while he's still here, capitalize on it. And kind of piggybacking off of that, I think no matter what, whether it's for a star or not, trade D'Angelo Russell. He has his moments, he has his ups and his downs. I just don't think he's a fit for that team right now. I just don't think he's someone that gels well with LeBron, AD, and the rest of the roster. Again, he has his moments where he'll have games where he'll hit a ton of threes and score, but there for just as many games for that, there's more games of him, you know, having tour date numbers and the box score. So no disrespect to D'Angelo Russell, but I'm not trying to see him live in concert. And then the last one, it's kind of a joke here, but you need a time machine. I think that the Lakers, the window is still open for the Lakers to win a championship. It's just the clock is really ticking right now. And I just don't know. By the time LeBron eventually walks away from the game, 80 is going to be 2, 3 years older, probably. Who knows what happens between now and then if he has any more injuries, knock on wood. We hope that doesn't happen. And what his situation will want to be, whether he even wants to stay in LA or not at that point. So I think it's like they still have time, but man, I bet the Lakers wish they had just a little bit more time to go back in time a little bit to maybe redo some trades, some things. Getting Russell Westbrook was a tough trade for them to make at the moment. It seemed like that's something that would work. It obviously didn't.
No,
So maybe
never.
going back and kind of reworking some of those deals, I think would have benefited them. But those are my 3 points for the Lakers. If you have any comments on those, Jerry.
Yeah, no, I think the first one, I think we missed the window, right? Like, I was just trying to think after you said it, like, what star players are available? Who's going to be available come in the middle of the season? Because at this point now, it's really only Zach
I
LaVine.
think Trae Young might still be available.
If,
We'll see how the
if
Hawks
the,
play out to start the year.
yeah, like, maybe if the Hawks realize, oh, hey, we're still not good enough to compete for anything. Maybe then it's like, let's pivot. Let's go get some picks.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that potentially. But right now, just heading into October, at training camp, October, and then November and into the rest of the in-season tournament, the new Emirates tournament that they have and stuff like that. It's looking kind of grim for a superstar to join, a third star to join AD and LeBron. I think for number two, I'm on the boat of trading D'Angelo Russell, but I think it's important to know that his legacy, not his legacy, but his reputation around the league right now is kind of down. But it's important to remember he still put up 18 points and shot 41% from deep.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the fit, along with Bron and AD, I think it actually does work. You have a guard that can shoot and actually take some pressure off of LeBron, but the problem is he's not consistent.
Yeah.
Now, like you mentioned, the tour date stats, box scores that we see, like I agree, like you can't drop 36 one night and then drop 6 the
Yeah.
next. Like that's my third best player shouldn't
He's
do that
not
on
he's
an
not
NBA.
reliable enough to be the third
No,
guy there.
and that's exactly why, like, I think right now, as a Laker fan, I'm just kind of hoping that he re-engages into what's going on.
Yeah.
To play for yourself, to either be moved and play yourself into more money for a bigger contract later. That's my hope. But if he's able to stay in LA, I hope he's just consistent because he should be a 20-plus point scorer. He should be thriving alongside these two. You have a guard, a wing, and a big as like your mold and model. You look good. So Figure it out or else get the hell out of town. That's probably the perfect way to put it. But the time machine thing is hilarious. You touched on it a little bit. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen the clips with DeMarcus Cousins, Dwight Howard, and Quinn Cook talking about, dang, yeah, I don't know why they broke up the 2020 Lakers. Like,
Yeah.
DeMarcus Cousins said that was the best chemistry team he's ever been on. Everybody was just good friends. Everybody was vibing with one another, going out to eat, going out to dinner every other night. Like, yeah, Rob Pelinka really messed up a good thing. We had Kuz, we had Caruso, we had KCP, who became a championship piece in other places. Like,
Yeah.
Rob Pelinka ruined. He really
Messed
it's
up
his
the
fault
vibes. Messed up the vibes big time.
for sure. Yeah, I think we're 6 for 6 here on agreeing with one another for our first 3 points
So
here.
far, so good.
Now let's get into some nitty gritty. These, as we go down the list here, guys, it gets a little tougher, just a tad bit, because some of these teams didn't make the playoffs, but they're still billion-dollar franchises. So, on that note, let's jump into the Warriors. My 3 points for them. Number one, develop Jonathan Kuminga and the rest of the young guys. We know what happened with Jordan Poole. We know he's in Washington now, but he should have been in Golden State. He's not. I won't cry over spilled milk on it. But you still have Moses Moody. You still got Kuminga and Gary Payton II. Like there's other names in place, right, that could actually become gems down the road for them. What they become, Trace Jackson Davis. So sorry.
Yep.
Love his game. But the whole situation in Golden State is looking like it's going to crumble. We're seeing rumors of Steph Curry potentially being unhappy if they don't do good in the next year or so or the rest of his contract. I think that's a lot closer than what people actually realize. So focus on your core. I wouldn't even prioritize Steph as much if I'm Mike Dunleavy, if I'm the Warriors right now, just because we're not going to get another piece here. It doesn't look like they are. After missing out on Paul George in the beginning of the offseason, Lauri Markkanen signed a massive deal like we talked about a couple episodes ago. So focus on your guys right now. Jonathan Kuminga looks like he's your guy.
Yeah.
So let's just focus up on that. Number two, attempt to revive the 2015 vibe. Like, remember the vibes that we had, even though LeBron was playing by himself, no Kyrie, no K Love in that final series. Damn shame, but the Warriors were a great
Thanks,
team.
Kelly.
Yeah, your boy, Kelly.
The clinic.
Yeah, you put on one all right. Sucking shoulders out and all. But yeah, like literally, it was Steph, Clay, and Dre were obviously your staples. It was beautiful basketball. Harrison Barnes, we mentioned Barbosa, David Lee, Bogut. Everything was just a well-oiled machine in Steve Kerr's first season.
Yep.
So everything just looked amazing on the offensive end of the ball. So that's kind of the similar situation that you're in now. Kevin Durant's not walking through that door. You signed Buddy Hield. You got Kyle Anderson. You got DeAnthony Melton. Those were your three big free agency acquisitions. We mentioned all the time, Buddy Hield's the only other person that made just as many threes as Steph. Well, there's your de facto Klay Thompson. You still got Draymond. Yeah, I get he aged. He's still one of the smartest players in the game. You still got Steph, who's arguably better than what he was in 2015 now. And then you add in Kuminga, which is a different kind of player. The Warriors never really had a freak athlete that can get his own bucket like that. It's a little different, but find a way to reinvent those vibes. Find a way to reinvent the role players around to kind of just remember ball movement's the most important thing. Not saying that the Warriors have gotten away from that, but I don't need Steph to drop 30, 32 a game next season.
100%.
I don't want that. If he's doing that, we're probably just barely 500, just like how they were last year, and they missed the playoffs.
Missed the playoffs, yeah.
Lastly here, continue to star hunt until the trade deadline. Like, I mentioned that I don't think they should prioritize Steph, and I do feel that way. But just like how we talked about for the Lakers, just like how we talked about even for the Celtics, revamping your roster is going to be the most important step heading into the season. So if the Warriors can still get an impact player, maybe LaVine ends up there. I don't really like that fit per se, but if you're looking for a big name, go fishing.
Right.
Get one. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns is unhappy.
Cheap, I'll tell you that much. If they wanted someone like LaVine.
No, they definitely won't.
Wouldn't have to give up much.
I would consult Steph and see, hey, do you want to play with this player? Because that's what Rob Pelinka does with LeBron and AD.
Right.
So Mike Dunleavy, if there's somebody unhappy, talk to Steph, talk to Dre, see what they want to do. But this is how you keep your team competitive. That's my 3.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think developing Kuminga, Moody, Pods, all these guys that you mentioned, I think is crucial to, the next step in, you know, the organization for Golden State. Same with LeBron. Like Steph isn't going to be there forever. So as much as you have him there now, but you still have to look towards the future and life after Steph Curry. And that's why the Warriors are in a weird position because you have to focus on that. But at the same time, you still do have Steph Curry, and Steph Curry is still unbelievable. So you have to kind of find a middle ground. And yeah, no, I agree. 2015 vibe, just like kind of working around like a core group of guys and having everyone fill in, finding their roles. And if you can get a star, you can get a star. I still believe that Lauri Markkanen would have been a great piece for them. Obviously, they didn't want to part with some guys, but that's their decision. But if there are guys that are available that you feel better fits the team and it's a more win now move, I don't think it would be a bad decision to make. So yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Let's move on to the team that made it all the way to the NBA Finals this past year in the Western Conference. As the Dallas Mavericks. The 3 points I have is hope the surrounding talent make major leaps, make steps this year. Guys like Lively, guys like even a guy like Gafford, a bunch of these younger guys, Hardy. You know what you get out of Luka, you know what you get out of Kyrie, guys like that. It's about who can help them out the most. And I think during the finals, we kind of saw the Mavericks struggle outside those two. They had some performances here and there. Derek Lively had a good game or two. Tim Hardaway came in during a blowout and hit 5 threes, but he's not even on the team anymore. So I think that they just really need to hope guys out, not named Luka and Kyrie, take steps this year and can help them out when they need it. Number two, Kyrie continues to be a mentor and great second option. Kyrie has a very weird track record in the NBA. Things are looking good for him in Dallas right now. We got to hope that it stays that way. I think he is a phenomenal number two to Luka Doncic. I think so far he has proven to be a great mentor to some of the younger guys there. And as a team leader, you just kind of hope that continues to trend in that direction. And he's a guy, even though he's getting older, he's aging like fine wine. He's still a guy that can go out there, give you 20, 25 a night if you need him to. Still one of the most talented point guards in the league today. So I think that as long as things stay on that course, and that's great for them. And the last one, acquire more shooting. And I think one of the biggest struggles for them was shooting, and just the way that the team is designed, the way the team is really built around Luka Doncic, has the ball in his hands a lot. I think it's crucial to build a team that has a lot of shooting around guys like Luka. They got Klay Thompson this offseason, which I think is a good acquisition for doing something like that. But Klay Thompson is, again, he's older. He is only one guy. So how much does he bring to the table? I think you kind of see how the year starts there, see, how much Klay Thompson brings to the table. And if you feel like you still need more of shooting or something like that, you go out and get it. But I just think that the way this team is built and being built, you need as much shooting as possible. So those are my 3 points.
Yeah, I like them. I mean, surrounding the talent, hoping that they take big steps is probably the most important thing, because I'm really thinking about Derek Lively and the type of Tyson Chandler kind of impact that I feel like he needs to take.
Right.
For those who don't know about Tyson Chandler, this guy won a DPOY.
Did.
So he's pretty vital. He was vital to the 2011 title, guarding Chris Bosh in spurts, and then also switching over to guard the rim against guys like LeBron and D Wade. Damn, we're old.
Dude, Tyson Chandler, what a guy. He was the man when we were younger too.
Hey, Tyson Chandler was
shout out Tyson Chandler. He was nice. Yeah, he was nice.
Honestly. But yeah, he's a mentor over there in Dallas too, so it's a perfect role model for Derek Lively to have. That's who I'm looking at. PJ Washington also.
PJ, yep.
I enjoyed your time here in Charlotte, but I'm glad that you're in Dallas competing for titles potentially for the rest of the decade alongside with those guys. So that's huge. Got nothing to say about that. Kyrie being a mentor and a great second option. I mean, hey, I think nowadays we used to box in players' prime starts at 27 and ends at like 32, 33. Right. Yeah, to hell with that. Now it starts at 25 to about 36. Like that's like a legit box. If you're all-time great like Kyrie is, he can be good until he's 38, 39, barring
Sure.
no injury.
Mm-hmm.
So, got nothing to say about that. If you've been watching this show long enough, you guys know how we feel about Kyrie. So,
Yes, exactly.
I don't have to say anything there. And acquiring more shooting is huge. I just looked it up too. They were 13th in 3-point percentage this year, which they shot around 36%. Not terrible.
They creep
That's
into the
about
top
3.
5 with that team. They're deadly. That's
Yeah,
a deadly
exactly.
offense.
You hit your shots in big time situations. If Tim Hardaway was more effective, I know he was hurt most of this past year, so hoping he finds success. I think he's out in Detroit. Don't
Yeah,
remember,
Detroit.
but
Him and
there's
Tobias
a
Harris
lot.
are going to put up the empty, like, most meaningless numbers next season. They're each going to average like 15, 20, and no one's going to give a fuck.
Hey, right now those guys are smart. I know this isn't a Pistons episode, but
get
they literally just took those contracts because they know they're going to
get
be
your
traded
money,
later on.
get your money, get your
They
points,
can-
and then get shipped out of there.
They're getting traded.
Yeah.
There's no way they stay the whole season. But now, yeah, I think all 3 of these points are good though. I think getting more shooting around star players, and also I think what's huge to also add to your last point is a shot creator.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
we saw what happened, how the offense stalled out against the Celtics in the finals. Like once those 2 guys were on the bench for whatever reason, Kyrie and Luka, if they were on the bench, Jaden Hardy, as much as I think he could be an okay player in the league, he just wasn't ready yet. So
Big
I'm
time.
looking at him to kind of hopefully develop into that. Hey, I can bring the ball up and I can do what I need to do and get my own. But
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. They need a shot creator. That's for damn sure.
I agree.
Okay, on to the next
Now,
team
what do we
here.
got
We
next?
got the Philadelphia 76ers now.
Okay.
So my 3 points here, be patient as you incorporate PG into the system. I think it's important to note that every big 3 that comes together does not automatically just rip off 20 plus wins in 20 games. Like you're not going to go 20-0 in the first 20. The Miami Heat, I'm not 100% sure how they started out. Should have looked it up. Shame on me, but I believe they were 11-9 in their first 20
They were
games
slow.
when
They were slow to start.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Bosh, Wade, and Bron got together, and they were not looking too good. And everybody's like, "Wow, why did they do this? Why did they all get together? They're talking about giving us 6+ championships, yada yada yada."
Yeah.
Well, they won 2 in 4 years and went to the finals in all 4 seasons. So I'd say it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So let PG kind of get his feet wet here. He's played with great players in the past, in Kawhi, in Russ, in older Carmelo Anthony. So he's going to figure it out. Let's not worry about it too much if they start off slow. Secondly, the most important one. I put it in all caps for a reason.
I was going to say it's all caps here.
Keep Joel Embiid healthy.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if that brother is healthy, you know that the Boston Celtics have a problem. You know that the New York Knicks might be insignificant with their friendship powers. And everybody out east has a problem containing a guy that can drop 35 in his sleep.
Yeah.
So
can drop 50 on one leg and one eye in the playoffs.
Freaking bum eyes. You look cockeyed out there.
It's true.
Like it's insane. So I think we could agree here that Joel Embiid is arguably the best player in the league with Jokic.
He's the X factor, brother. It's all comes down to him.
Joel healthy, Philly healthy in general. I would not. I know some guys are out on the Philly train like, oh, it's not that big of a move. Yes, the hell it is. Those experts can kiss my ass until I see differently. So that's number 2. I don't think I need to explain anymore.
Okay.
3, just build chemistry. Again, like it goes back to how fast we expect things to work. That's not always the case. Some things take time. I mentioned for the Lakers with, the guard, the wing, and the big being the perfect batch of guys to be the best players. You have that in Philly. And guess what? They're all in their primes, technically.
Right.
Tyrese Maxey just got the bag after a most improved player award year. Great 25+ points per game. Awesome. PG comes out of a system with Kawhi where, he didn't have to be the guy. He doesn't even have to be the guy here, but you have to be the perfect 3-and-D piece that I envision him being.
Right.
Alongside Maxey and Embiid. So PG will play his role. Speaking of Embiid, again, an MVP. A guy that probably would have had 2 if he didn't get hurt earlier in the year. So
100%.
I'm kind of looking at this like, hey, get your guys, your star players to lead the way. You got Eric Gordon. You got Reggie Jackson. You got Andre Drummond. You re-signed Kelly Oubre. Like, Philly's going to be good.
Yeah. They should on
Just got to give
paper.
it time.
Yeah,
On paper, it looks sexy, man. Like, I'm excited for what they could actually do. I know you hate them,
I
but you
do.
do respect them
I do hate them.
and what they could possibly do.
I mean, listen, Philly, great on paper. It's a matter of what we see them do on the court. And I'm with you. I think that this is a team that Philly fans have to be patient with. It's not going to be a overnight success story. I think it's going to take a little time to get everything going, especially if guys are in and out of the lineup with injuries. Like
Yeah.
Embiid, you said in all caps, keep Joel healthy. They can try their hardest. Sometimes this guy just can't
Falls
stay
apart.
healthy. So it might be difficult too if guys are in and out of the lineup. But I do believe that they should be really good. If there's a team in the East that I think can contend with Boston on paper, I think that's Philly. So I agree with your points, and obviously, most importantly, Joel Embiid needs to stay healthy.
Most
If
importantly,
he's not healthy, then there's no point in even talking about the Sixers.
he's not healthy. I'm a Knicks fan out east.
Yeah,
That's how it
there's
looks.
just really no worry about them at all. But all right, moving on to another Eastern Conference team, one that we just mentioned, the New York Knicks. My 3 points are pretty simple, straight to the point. I'm not really going to harp on it too much. Just no injuries, and that kind of ties into Tom Thibodeau running his guys into the ground. I think he needs to, lay off the gas a little bit, let these guys, play normal minutes, and when the playoffs come around, they don't turn into dust, they don't crumble into ash, because that's kind of what we saw happen last year. So no injuries on that front. Everyone needs to stay healthy and not be run into the ground. Trade Julius Randle. I want to make it clear. I think Randle's a good player. I just don't think he's going to work in this system on this team that they have.
He'd have to be a center.
He would have to be a center, and I just don't see it happening. I don't see it. His style of play, there's too many mouths to feed. There's only one basketball. I don't think it's going to work out. I don't think that I think they won't trade him before the season starts. I think he'll start the season there, and they'll see what happens. But I really do think that they need to go after a big man, a really true big man. I know they have Mitchell Robinson, but another guy that can't stay healthy. If he stayed healthy, he'd be great, but he can't. So I think they need to get rid of Randle, see what you can get for him. Obviously, don't just trade to trade. If you can't get anything for him, hold on to him. I get that, but if you can get rid of him, I think that's the best thing for them to do. And the last one is everyone just buys into the team. Everyone buys into team basketball. It's New York basketball. We saw it last year. Guys like Josh Hart, OG, all these guys. It seemed like they bought in. With Jalen Brunson being the captain officially now, I think there's an understanding that he is going to run the team, but with guys like OG, Bridges, Hart, DiVincenzo, there's a lot of guys on this team that are really good ball players and probably on other teams can be more successful or stand out more than they would on the Knicks. But if they buy in and like this is team basketball, we can really accomplish something special if we buy in. I think that could happen. So yeah, I think they have a really good structure there. A few tweaks, and just buying in. I really think that's all it takes for them.
I agree with points 1 and 3. I
Mm-hmm.
think the injuries thing did kill them. Obviously, they shouldn't
Brunson
have lost to the
breaking his
Pacers.
hand. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that was a fluke.
it bombed them. It bombed them. No disrespect to
No,
Pacers,
no
but they should have.
disrespect. They made it to the Eastern Conference
Yeah.
Finals. They deserved it, but Jalen Brunson did get hurt, so both things can
Yes.
be true.
Yeah. And OG was playing on one leg basically, so
Mm-hmm.
partly when he was there. So
100%.
injuries is huge. Health is key. Just like with Embiid, the best players don't need to get hurt. And guys buying into the team is huge because Josh Hart played his role. OG played his role when he was healthy. Isaiah Hartenstein, when he was there, played his role. Everybody was perfect for what they needed to do. But the last point in trading Randall, or the second point in trading Randall, is kind of like where I jump sides on this a lot. Just because he is a 3-time All-Star, just because he's proven that he could be an impact player on the floor, I just think he needs to stop taking all those damn threes. You don't need to do that. You're a minus player from there, and you play into what teams want you to do.
Right.
So that's the only thing. But I think you mentioned buying in for the last point. If Randall buys into the role, because even though he's an undersized center, or he would be in that lineup, because I'm thinking it'll be Brunson, Hart, Bridges, OG, and Randall.
That's
Like
what.
I
Yeah.
get it's small. I get it's undersized, especially if you're playing a team like Boston or Philly with behemoths at the center position. I get it, but if Randall can be this rebounding nut and buy into this defensive side of the ball, like more invested than usual, and understand I'm not going to put up 28 a game. Understand that I'm probably going to be a high teens to low 20s kind of guy. I think that's what the Knicks could use out of him because who are you going to get? We keep talking about this for each team trying to trade for a guy or trade players. Trae Young makes sense for the Lakers, sure. And if like a guy like, I don't know, just I don't think he would, but Tim Hardaway Jr. ends up in Boston or something like that, maybe it's an upgrade, sure. But for a team that's trading away an all-star player, I just really wonder who you would get
Right.
at the 5 spot.
And
That
that's
would
why
actually
I
be
feel like that's a difficult position to go after right now. So you don't want to
yeah,
just trade to trade. Losing Hartenstein hurts because that would have been another nice depth piece at the center position, but there might not be anyone out there. Karl Anthony Towns is in another atmosphere, another universe. He is the perfect guy to put on the Knicks, right? But in this universe, I don't think he's going anywhere. So if he was available, I think that would be the guy they should go after. He'd be perfect, but I don't think that'll
absolutely.
happen.
Tough.
Tough.
On to the next one. For the next one here, though, we got the Phoenix Suns, who obviously did not have the finish that they wanted to, getting swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves. But
Bring your
three keys.
ass. Bring your ass.
The 3 keys that I got for them, man, it's just like we've been talking about. Health is really wealth here, man. Keep your stars healthy. And I put in parentheses on the notes, they only played 41 games together in Beal, Booker, and KD.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't really get to see a whole sample size of what they can do. And plus, when it's star players that are all used to having the ball in their hands, you got to have a crash course of at least 65 games in my mind
Right.
to actually see what they could become. So let's roll this back out. They don't have a choice anyway. They're financially locked into these guys. So let's roll it back out.
Yep.
You see what you can do. They won 50 games still, but
yeah.
let's see what happens with those 3 guys if they actually are healthy. When I say those guys, Bradley, I'm talking to you primarily.
I'm just talking to you, Bradley.
Primarily.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, if things go bad, speaking of Bradley, find a way to move him. I get he has a no trade clause. I understand that he can veto any deal that can come his way. But what's important to know here is that if you talk him into the right situation, if you say that, hey, I think you'd look really good on the Lakers. Or like, hey, I think you'd look really good in X situation. Whatever.
Hey man, Steph really wants to come to Phoenix. I think
he
you would do great in Golden State.
He wants you.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the odd man that I'm looking at out. Because I don't really want to trade Book. That's my franchise player.
Right.
That's the guy that I want to be a Sun for life if I'm management, if I'm ownership. And KD, what are you really gonna get that
at this point
makes you better? Unless you want to tank, trade everybody if you want to tank.
Right.
But trading KD's tricky, so I'm not bought in on that. Lastly, please, for the love of God, Mike Budenholzer, start Tyus Jones.
If you got brains, start Tyus Jones. Great pickup for them. Very underrated pickup.
Yes, led the league in assist to turnover ratio last year. Had his breakout year in Washington as a starter. Like, please, don't do this ugly lineup of having Bradley Beal at the point, Grayson Allen at the 2, and no. Bring Grayson Allen off your bench because that's what he is to me. He's a bench player. He does not need to start.
Second best shooter in NBA 2K. Fun fact. I don't know if you saw the ratings come out.
Yeah. I think that's a little phony. I get he had a great year from deep, but it's kind of like
number 2 is kind of.
Where's Damian Lillard?
Not number 2. Okay. Not there.
I'm starting Tyus. I'm starting Beal. We'll have Book run the 3 again. We'll have KD at the 4. Nurkic is your 5. Run with that group. Do not bring Tyus off the bench. Please, I repeat, do not bring that brother off the bench. He is a good point guard that can steady the offense and get the ball out of these guys' hands so they don't have to initiate it all the freaking time. I get that they can. I'm not saying that they can't. They're talented enough to run the offense and be that point man or the point forward in KD's case or whatever. I don't want that necessarily. Let guys get in rhythm. Like, just make ball movement the staple and have Tyus out there.
Right.
I think the Suns will be a way better team and a better team on offense and avoid these droughts. of where the ball looks like it sticks in a person's hand in an ISO play. No, let's stop that. Let's get some split actions rolling. Let me see some floppy out there, and let's just have a good time.
No, I'm with that. I like those points, especially Tyus Jones and anything you can to get Bradley Beal out of there. As much as we need to see the big three do well and stuff, I honestly believe that this should be the season that Devin Booker really like has an MVP, true MVP season, and is the centerpiece to that. I think KD has shown in the past that he can be a sidekick. He can be a Robin to a Batman. When he was in Golden State, yes, he won the Finals MVPs. He was, I believe, the best player on those teams. But Steph Curry was still Batman. That was still his team. I think that could be similar here, where Devin Booker is the one leading the charge. And after this Team USA, after this run and stuff like that, I think he really found and learned how to play well with other star players. I think he can kind of carry that over into the season and really make that step up. And Bradley Beal, man, that dude needs to. I mean, the Suns did it to themselves trading for him, doing all they did to get him. But if they can find a way to get him out of there, that is the most ideal thing possible for them. So, all right, let's move on. Another Western Conference team, the team that actually swept them, funny enough, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You like how I did the order here?
I love it. No, this is perfect. So the Timberwolves, I have here. Anthony Edwards takes another leap. I mean, he's coming, man. I mean, he is just on a trajectory right now to be one of the best players of this generation. He keeps getting better and better and better. He's great at a lot of things, but I think there are still some things he can improve on and perfect. And I think that this upcoming year, especially making it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. I think that there's a fire lit underneath that team in general, but especially Anthony Edwards of like, he wants to go back. He wants to go back. He got his taste of winning gold in the Olympics, and now he wants to win a trophy in the NBA. So I think him taking another leap is essential for them. Karl-Anthony Towns continuing to be a great second option on that team. But really seeing the best out of him as a second option. I don't think he's gotten enough credit for taking the step back that he did and taking the role they did in Minnesota. Because he was the number one draft pick. He was meant to be the franchise guy or whatever. Anthony Edwards comes in and it's just kind of like, wow, like this kid's really good and he could be the face of this franchise. Karl-Anthony Towns never gave any pushback, never fought it or anything. He understood, he saw it in him, and he was like, I'm okay taking a step back here. And I think that is, you don't see that a lot. So I want to give him his flowers for that 100%.
Jimmy Butler taught him well.
He did.
Remember that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I think Cat just continuing to be the leader. Like, he doesn't have to be the best player, but he can be the leader alongside Anthony Edwards. I think we've seen that from them, and they love each other. They're very buddy-buddy. So Karl-Anthony Towns just continuing to do his thing as a second option. And then the last one is acquiring other shot creators. I think just once we've talked about this, if Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns are off the floor, or even if they are on the floor, there's not many guys that are around them that can create their own shots, that really can do their own thing with the ball. So I think it's essential. I mean, I like the group that they have. They have a mix of young guys, great defensive players, some shooters and vets. But they need guys that can go out there and just score, especially if Edwards isn't out there, Cat isn't out there, because I think that's something that hurt them in the playoffs this past year.
Yeah, I mean, again, all spot on with all these points. I think getting Rob Dillingham is definitely going to help in that last category,
Right.
Getting another shot creator, getting a guy that could just fill it up. So that's going to be huge. I kind of hate the fact that they lost Kyle Anderson, but they got the rest of the guys to kind of fill it up. Now, I like it. Minnesota should be.
They should be right back where they were last year. So,
okay. On to another team, another Western Conference team that should also be back at the top of the West is OKC.
Yep.
I only really put 1 point here because I don't think there's anything to really go into. Just grow. You literally should have beat the Dallas Mavericks. You guys should have been playing in the Western Conference Finals, to be honest with you, with that talent. But now everybody gets another year to grow into who they are, understand what they are. SGA, MVP candidate, finished third, I believe, should have another MVP caliber kind of season again.
Yep.
Jalen Williams, I'm expecting a huge step up, but an even bigger step from Chet Holmgren. And
Yeah.
those are their 1, 2, and 3 options. To where Chet should become this de facto kind of KD, this poor man's KD, but also be able to block shots like a freak and put on this Wimby kind of S performance, right? That's what I'm expecting out of Chet. Jalen Williams should be a dog, your two-way star as well on both sides of the floor. And then you got Alex Caruso in the building, who's another guy that can play right next to Shea or run the show for a little bit with Lou Dort at the 2, or however you want to play this. And then Isaiah Hartenstein, a big offseason acquisition that we mentioned already with the Knicks situation. So literally just continue progressing. Like
Yeah.
literally, you play 2K, the franchise, the association modes, and you just see the green arrows going up for how all the players
Yeah.
just get better.
Yeah.
That is what I'm expecting. Everybody should have took a major leap during this offseason. You're young, go out there and eat, fellas. Like that's it. Just grow.
Yeah, they
That's
gained
all.
some experience last year. They were the NBA Cinderella story for sure, but they proved that it's not going to be a fluke. It's not a one and done thing. They have so much talent. They have so many picks, and they brought in 2 guys that are going to do great things for them. They're going to help them out in a lot of ways that they needed help with last postseason. Um, yeah, I mean, they got to figure something out eventually with these picks and how they're going to juggle everything, but they have a unbelievable core right now. Just got to build around it. Just got to keep going with it. You don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, and then the last,
Conference finals appearance. They
yeah,
got to get there.
no, I agree. I think that should be the, the goal. But like that's like the smallest thing. They should hit the conference finals, but realistically, they should be a finals team. And the last team we have here to close it out is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're in an interesting place right now, and the 3 points I have is no injuries. They know. I mean, Damian Lillard and Giannis missed the playoffs last year, and they lost in the first round. They were healthy. Who knows how far they would have made it? So I think that starts with the top. Giannis and Lillard need to stay healthy. Lillard being older now, it's going to be a little harder. But I think that's the biggest thing here. Second one, a resurgence from Chris Middleton, who has been up and down the last few years. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries, just, getting older. In the playoffs this past year against the Pacers with no Lillard or Giannis, he had some crazy games. He had some big shots, big moments. So he still has something there. But we need a full season of him being healthy, being a solid third option. Because if he's not, then the drop off is who that next third option is. I don't know. It's a drop off from Middleton. And the last one, and this is another funny joke: stop firing your head coaches. And if you do want to fire Doc Rivers, that should be the last coach you're able to fire, because I think that he is justified there for him to get fired. But it's like you had something good to start the year. Started the season off well, you fire your head coach, you bring in Doc Rivers, and everything kind of goes to shit. I'm not blaming it on Doc Rivers, not saying should deserve 100% of it, but he deserves a good amount of it. He should have stayed in the booth. I'll put it that way. Should have stayed in the booth. They just need to build something. If you keep firing head coaches, and we've talked about this with teams like even the Pistons, it's like you create a structure, you create a culture, and if you keep firing guys going in and out of the door, you're not creating anything there. And if anything, you're pushing your stars away, like Giannis, who I believe, if things continue to trend the way that they are, he's not going to be in Milwaukee in a few years. So I think that they need to just be consistent, find one guy, keep him there, and don't touch anything. So those are my 3 points.
Nah, injuries is the theme of this whole show.
It is.
Like as long as
It
teams
is.
stay healthy, we should see what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So no arguments there. I think I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of out on Chris Middleton, man. Like,
Oh, I'm not saying I'm bought in on him. I'm just saying,
yeah,
I mean, they have him there, so they just got to pray to God that he
yeah,
shows you something.
yeah. I can see what you mean. Like both him and Brooke Lopez
Yeah.
are gonna have pretty, like, this needs to be the last of your prime year, or the last of your good solid year, because those two I'm a little shaky about.
I wouldn't be
But yeah,
surprised
definitely
if
more.
either of them got traded at some point this year, especially Brooke. I know they've been looking at the market for Brooke.
I think Brooke got about like 1 or 2 good years left. After that, he's a statue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But now firing the head coach is huge, man. Like building continuity amongst not just your players but the coaching staff, the GMs and the whole organization should be like on, top down one accord. It's huge.
Yeah.
And Adrian Griffin, I don't know what he did or what he
He
didn't
pulled a
do.
Nime Udoka or something, bro. I think he fucked someone's wife or whatever because they exiled that guy for no reason.
Like, I have no idea. He went 30-13. It's not like he went 13-30 in
And
the
they weren't
first.
that far behind Boston at that point when he got fired. They were only a few games behind him.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But yeah, nah, I mean,
Not our problem.
yeah, hey. But in terms, you said Doc should have stayed in the booth. No, he shouldn't have. You better go get that money.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if
Millions
Milwaukee,
right there,
if
baby.
he's being offered all that money to step out of retirement or whatever you want to call it, then yeah, I would have done it too. But
Hey, Milwaukee would have offered me a contract to go coach, and I've never coached basketball a day in my life. I would show up.
I'm in Milwaukee tomorrow. I'm in Milwaukee tonight. Not even tomorrow morning. I'm there tonight.
Yeah, because they flying you out.
That's damn right they are. Private jet, baby.
Win-win.
First class. Yep.
That'll be the most excited I ever am to go to Milwaukee, to go to Wisconsin. Yeah.
I'll put up with it for all that money.
But yeah, guys, these are our 10 teams that we stuck out for today. We're going to do the next 10 and the next 10 in another episode. So make sure you let us know how you feel about our grades on each. And whether you hate it, whether you love it, let us know. We don't give a damn.
Comments.
We'll argue with you.
That's right.
But before we close out the show here, I touched on Team USA a little bit here, who won their 5th consecutive gold medal. USA.
USA. By the skin of their teeth. They almost didn't make it past Serbia. So
it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was very close.
We had a lot of scares, but we also have a lot of Steph Currys involved in this flurry against Serbia, who was literally the battery pack the entire game, keeping us in it. Then obviously in the gold medal game against France, who literally put the game out of reach.
Yeah.
So I have here just the ridiculous stats, which are also which are Olympic records for 2 games. 17 threes in 60 points.
He saved it for the biggest moments, for the biggest games.
Literally, Anthony Edwards had it right. Like he showed up 3 days ago.
It's so funny. So funny.
He didn't pop up until the semifinals against Serbia, and then obviously the finals with France. So there's the Steph Curry of it all. Gets his first gold medal. LeBron had a triple double in this game, in the France game. Wins MVP, gets his 3rd Olympic gold, one more than MJ. Got to put that out.
It's true.
KD wins his 4th gold medal, which is the most for a men's U.S. Olympian here, and is now the all-time leader in Team USA points, men's and women's, passing Lisa Leslie. So we did what we had to do.
They did what they had to do.
What's your reaction to watching the Avengers pull this one off?
I just cherished it. We're never going to see it again, unfortunately, unless they pull some fuckery in the NBA and all team up somehow. I can definitely maybe LeBron and Steph. They were very buddy during their time in Paris, so maybe they had a few discussions about that. But yeah, man, it was just cool to watch. Everyone just putting their egos, putting their differences aside for the greater good. To win a gold medal for their country, guys like Steph winning his first one, LeBron winning another one, KD winning another one. They had a goal a year ago. They were like, we're coming back, we're winning gold, and they accomplished exactly what they went out for. So kudos to them, bravo to them. It was an incredible run. And now LeBron has to go back to Rob Pelinka. KD has to go back to Phoenix with Bradley Beal, and Steph Curry has to go back to Buddy Hield. So good luck to them.
Way to put things in perspective, Dr.
It's true. They're leaving the beautiful Paris, the Olympics, everything being so great, the extravaganza, to back to their teams where they will be for the next year at least. So.
Gabe Vincent and D'Angelo Russell, here we come!
I'm coming home, D'Lo. I'm coming home. LeBron's yelling on the boat back. But yeah, no, great. It was always gold or bust, so it was great to see them win it all.
Yeah. That's all we got for
today. I think that's it.
Any parting shots from you, my good sir?
When does the NBA season start again? I already miss it.
Late October, man. We're about to roll into preseason games and training camp here soon. So
yeah, it just needs to speed up. I miss it.
I feel you, man. But my parting shot, I have 2. One, French basketball is coming.
Oh,
That's
shout out Gershon Yabusele, guys. Let me
yes.
tell you
You're
something.
Celtic.
Let me tell you
You're
something.
Celtic, man.
Celtic, the dancing bear. I was at my friend's house when he got drafted, Jerry. They go, with the 16th pick, we are picking Gershon Yabusele. We're looking at each other. Who the hell is Gershon Yabusele? Showing it. No guys walking up, whatever. Like, where is this guy? They pan the camera to the nosebleeds. This guy bought his own tickets to go to the draft, and they played clips for 5 minutes before he made his way down to the stage to get his handshake, all that stuff. This guy was sitting in the nosebleeds when he got drafted. Now he's dunking on LeBron James. He said, I forget which one it was, but there was a Celtics reporter
What you talking about? He ain't do
in
that.
the
I don't know what
Olympics.
you're talking about.
What are you talking about? That my TV must have glitched. There was a
Yeah.
Celtics reporter there, and he was talking to Yabusele, Sally, and he said, "Get me back in Boston." He goes, "I need a second chance." I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see me some dancing bear in Boston. He has a great nickname, a fantastic nickname for someone that didn't pan out. It's a shame. Give him a second
It sounds
chance.
X-rated for the
Hey,
record. Sounds
but
very much
for
X-rated.
weird Celtics Twitter, it works. It was perfect.
Okay. And number 2 here before we give our outro. 3v3 men's basketball is terrible. And for the love of God, please, can we play Ice Cube's
Why is
Big Three
Jimmer
guy?
Fredette? Jimmer Fredette just keeps showing up. I couldn't believe that he was on the team. I was like, I didn't know he still played basketball. Do
I
you know
don't
what
know
Jimmer
what you're
Fredette was on the team? Because I had no idea.
Yeah, I did, and that's
How
why I
old
was
is
even more
he?
disappointed.
How
He's
old
been
is
playing
Jimmer?
in China. He's been putting up numbers in
Damn.
China.
Guy, good
That's
for him.
yeah.
Oh,
That's it.
he is 35. He's up there. He's up there. Last time he played in the NBA, he averaged 4 points a game.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. God, make sure I'm gonna do the Dante thing here today.
Yeah.
So you gotta make sure that you like, you subscribe, hit that bell for us, man. Tune in. If you're listening on audio, man, go ahead and give us a like. Is that a follow? Like I don't really know how that process is,
Review, all
but
that, whatever you got to do.
yeah, follow us on TikTok for our shorts. Follow us on YouTube Shorts. Obviously, we're gonna do that next year. Also, Instagram. Follow us wherever you can get Sitting Courtside at, and yeah, I think I did a terrible job at that.
No, I think
But
you killed it. I think you killed it, Jerry. You covered.
hey,
You checked off all the boxes, which is important.
that's all. Give us a 5-star rating. That's what it is on the audio
There
platform.
it
That's
is.
what it is.
5
5-star
stars,
rating.
baby. Nothing less. Nothing less.
And this was episode 50, man. So we're at the half century mark. So guys, until next time.
Peace out.